Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of year where we all put on our big boy glasses, pass judgment on the anime that we've watched throughout the year, and passive-aggressively argue with the others who share differing opinions. I would like to think that I've watched my fair share of anime this year. I thought it would only be appropriate that I would share my top 10 best and top 10 worst anime of 2021. In order to keep it feeling fresh, the rules I laid out for myself is that the shows on this list must have been released in 2021. I also made a rule that I will not be counting continuations on the list, so no season 2s unless the first season was released this same year. We got a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's get this list underway. Oh, and this was a very isekai heavy year for anime, so don't be surprised if you see a lot on this list. And if you've seen my previous videos, you know I love me some isekai. Welcome everyone to my humble abode. Grab a drink, make sure it's cold. We're talking about anime new and not old. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Anime Lounge. Wait. Okay, so before we start, I feel like I need to mention this. So, this list is completely subjective. Of course, I have not seen every single show that dropped this year. I only have 2 eyes.
For now.
So if you don't see a show that you liked and think should be on here,
that's too damn bad!
Or if you see a show that you don't think belongs on the list, again,
that's too damn bad!
Now, let's get back into it. So we're going to be starting off with the worst shows, the ones that didn't really connect for me. Now, don't let the vernacular fool you. When I say worst, it doesn't necessarily mean that every show on this list was a bad show overall. There may have been just some aspects that hindered my total enjoyment of the show. But of course, the higher up we go, the shittier they get. Unflushed toilets. So let's start with... What's tragic about this is that Battle Game 5 Seconds started off with so much promise. It was one of the recommended shows I mentioned in my very first Anime Lounge video. It pulls you in with an interesting premise, but with no real payoff. What's crazy is that the premise also kind of works against itself here. The whole 5 seconds aspect plays no part in anything at all. It's irrelevant. The idea was to grab a group of strangers, give them unique abilities. Emphasis on the unique part because we end up seeing people with similar abilities, if not the same powers later on. They give a vague explanation that they are test subjects and mostly everyone just easily accepts this and willingly starts killing each other without so much as a mention of a reward. The main character, Kira, actually carries the show for me for a good portion of it. Without him, I would not have made it through because I didn't really care for literally anybody else, bro. Yuri, I personally did not like her whole backstory with hating the word chance because she feels she has bad luck. I think her story could have worked without that element. The first half of the show was decent enough, but it really falls off towards the ending arc. The villains feel like an ass pull. Motivations don't really make sense. They save people from dying, but then they stop giving a fuck about people dying. I feel like the plot really loses itself by the time it ends. But again, the MC carries it and I still enjoyed it for a good chunk of the time. Kind of like chewing some juicy fruit. It's really good for about 5 minutes and then it loses all of its flavor. Okay, I feel like this may be the first controversial opinion here, but hear me out. Just because it's on this list doesn't mean I believe it was a terrible show. Again, it's just that I compare how much I enjoyed this to the other shows I've seen that dropped this year, and it just ended up on this side of the fence. It's just not hitting for me like I thought it would. My main issues with this show comes down to its pacing and the main character Will. Pacing wise, it moves a little quick to the point where I constantly rewind it to see if I accidentally missed something between the scenes. Nothing gets time to breathe. Prime example, when they introduce Manel, the elf boy, he meets Will, they chill for a bit, become friends, and literally like 40 seconds later, Will gets a random vision that a village is gonna get attacked and he thinks Manel is gonna get hurt. So he shows up and finds out that Manel is the one attacking the village, and I use attack very loosely. He shoots 2 arrows and Will immediately shuts everything down. They try to make it some emotional reveal, but we literally just saw this dude. They meet these 2 characters in the forest and literally 30 seconds later, it's portrayed that they're all best friends now. Will isn't interesting enough of a character for me to carry the show. Although snapping that wyvern's neck was some cool shit. I like that. I don't care for any of the characters they introduce later in the show, and some are actually quite annoying. The best characters are Blood, Gus, and Mary. I feel like a better show would have been the story they showed between them and those flashbacks. I want to see more of that. If I could sum up this show with one expression, it would be, Nothing about this show was really notable or memorable. I actually forgot I watched this show until I went back and looked at other shows that dropped this year. This guy, Noir, English! He finds a dungeon, discovers a big-chested mage all chained up, and he's given the ability to create and edit magic skills. But in order to use these skills, he has to do ecchi things, and that's pretty much all you need to know. This show feels very generic, as too does the character designs. The MC isn't that interesting. The childhood best friend Emma gets annoying. It's supposed to be a comedy, but I don't feel it was funny enough at all for that kind of tag. They really seem to go out of their way to put this dude in ecchi situations for the sake of being ecchi and comedic. Like in one episode, he's in class and he dodges the teacher's attack, and as a prize, she starts twerking on his
Hey, yo, what the?
I'm not bullshitting you, and enjoying it too. And then when you're thinking, oh, I'm sure that's the extent of it. Nope, she then proceeds to sit on his face.
What the?
Lucky motherfucker. Anyway, the show never really picks up any steam. Everything is predictable. Any new chick that's introduced, you know, will somehow fall into the harem. And that's cool and all, but at least make the characters interesting. The animation is The episodes really just turn into who's gonna join the harem next. When God puts in his 2-week notice, how does he find a replacement? He sends out his chosen angels to find a suitable candidate to take his place, and they have 999 days to choose one of those candidates. How is this candidate chosen as the next God? Is it won through a democratic debate? I don't know. Is it won through a test of popularity? I don't know. Is it perhaps won through a survival game where the last God candidate standing is chosen as the next? Maybe. I feel like they had something unique here, but it wasn't executed as well as it could have. These angels go out and find the most twisted, demented, depressed, self-righteous, perverted candidates, and I'm just thinking, we're trying to replace God here, right? The main character, Mirai, I want to say it like that. I'm sorry if I said it wrong, annoys the fuck out of me. He takes up most of the screen time and he's just so damn depressed the whole time, to the point where it's just like, get him off my screen. He is easily the most infuriating protagonist of the season. He'll spend 12 minutes of an episode trying to build up the courage to kill someone, and when he doesn't do it, somebody else is killed because of it. Hell, all of the characters are bland and kind of suck, with the exception of Mukai. I think his name was Mukado. As soon as he's introduced, he puts this shit on his back, and I'm like, just make him the main character. He was dying of cancer, given a second chance to be with his family, and now he's using the abilities he's given to protect them from the evil God candidate. The angels are only there for exposition. Hell, some of them don't even care about choosing the next candidate. We also are never told how the next candidate is properly chosen. They keep it vague enough to where I guess they want to save it for the end, but how do you expect people to invest if we aren't giving clear intel as to how everything works? We can't put any emotional stock into any of the characters or actions given if we don't know how it impacts the overall goal of choosing the next God. How do you give these ordinary people the power to instantly control or take out anybody, and yet try to allude to the fact that it doesn't necessarily come down to the last one standing? What do you expect to happen when you give these people these powers? The execution falls flat for me. The characters, except for one, are boring, and they really just start to make shit up later into the show. For some reason, when I saw this, I was expecting something towards the likes of, I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. Now, to be fair, I actually enjoyed the first few episodes. Azusa? I want to say it like that. Azusa was a corporate worker who literally worked herself to death and was reincarnated into a world of magic. In order to support her chance at a new and easy lifestyle, she kills slimes every day for 300 years. Now she's just an OP witch chilling up in the hills. It was cool. The only problem that I had with this show is that the characters they introduced to live with her don't really bring much to the table to enhance the story or bring anything fresh. The dragon girl that joined, she was aight. The twin sisters, they gave me a little giggle. I did like how she trained to take down Azusa, but immediately passed out fighting the dragon girl because she was exhausted. The elf chick, if I had to pick, she was the weakest one introduced to the fray. Now granted, her whole misunderstanding with Beelzebub was funny. I'm not saying the show was bad, but again, it just comes down to how much I enjoyed it compared to the other shows on the list. Ended up feeling like something to watch to pass the time as opposed to something to watch because I just had to see how it plays out. I wanted to like this show. I promise you I did. But this show gave me what felt like a 13 episode prologue, bro. Fair play to the main character. She tries to carry this shit. And damn it if she doesn't do it for a good portion. But there's only so much she could do. This show moves so slow, man. The main character is in this dungeon place for like 13 out of 24 of the episodes of the show. When they introduce the other classmates that also got reincarnated there, it's almost like there's two different shows being played out simultaneously. I was enjoying the episodes with the main spider girl. She was actually charming and funny. But when we spend an entire episode on her evolving a single skill, it's just like, okay. And each time she's in a dire situation, she gets an ex machina evolution and is rinse and repeat for about 13 episodes. And then when the other classmates are introduced, you just don't give a shit because you spent so much time with the spider by this point, you're just ready to see the rest of her story. And the classmate characters suck to me, personally. There's one kid who gets reincarnated and sees that they're heroes, and the first thing on his mind is, oh, I should conquer the world.
Right.
They try and make you care about the other classmates, but the show just takes a dive every time they're on the screen. And when you do see the main girl again, she's on a damn rinse and repeat cycle. The whole classmates trying to take down the demon lord plot feels misplaced and it gets boring very fast. The animation took some getting used to, slow plot, a lot of exposition. I gave it a shot to try and keep me hooked, but it just really falls flat the further you get into it. Surprise, surprise, another isekai. I know y'all probably like,
man, all this dude watches are isekai.
Look,
You get off my back! You think I want this? It just happened!
what's funny about this show is that one major part about an isekai is showing the main character being isekai, for the most part at least. This show just says, fuck it, you know what it is, it just throws you into the show. You would have thought that you were like 5 episodes in already. The show is supposed to be about this guy, Rigi, who opens a drugstore in another world, and you would think that that's what we're going to be building up to, but episode 1, he's already had the drugstore here for years apparently. He already has established friendships and connections and already has impacted the society that he's established in. Like, we get to see none of the journey. He has this one assistant dog girl who says that he saved her life and she'll do anything for him. Sure wish we could have seen that. He has a ghost that lives in the building that helps him out. I had to double check to be sure that I hadn't skipped the season. Now, I already don't care about any of the characters. Not only that, but nothing keeps my attention. For me, it gets boring very quickly, and I can't even stick around long enough to see if they eventually do get to show any interesting backstory. You can get away with not showing any of that right away, but only if there's something there to hook the viewer, whether it's some cool action, funny comedy, interesting characters and dialogue, etc. But this show has neither of these things. It all just boils down to him developing some form of remedy, whether it's tea to calm down this guy's crazy girlfriend or just cooking up some meth in the lab. A better isekai about a protagonist making potions is The Saint's Power is Omnipotent. Check it out. This is what would happen if somebody created an animation using PowerPoint presentation. This should have and could have been a straight home run. The premise alone could put butts in seats. Listen to this shit here.
Before eradicating humankind from the world, the gods give them one last chance to prove themselves worthy of survival. Let the Ragnarok battles begin.
Like, bruh, what? I'm in there. Now, this mainly concerns the animated show on Netflix because apparently the manga it's based on is very amazing. When I first saw this announced on Twitter and I saw this premise, I already concluded that this was going to be an anime of the year contender.
Wrong.
The pacing and the animation, bro, it's like they just didn't give a shit. I'm sitting here ready to see some godly gladiators throw down. I'm ready to see all hell break loose, and yet all we get is it was annoying to see the potential of what could have been with this show. It got to the point where I couldn't immerse like I wanted to, and I found myself laughing a lot more at the poor animation than actually enjoying the show. What also kind of sucks is how much filler they will put in here to make up for the lack of animation in the fight scenes. They will spend like 90% of an episode giving a backstory on someone's special move that no one has ever been able to survive or counter, and then that move would get survived or countered. How this man Lubu not only stand up but also rode a horse with both ankles being completely shattered. Although I love the premise, I still had questions as to why some of the people chosen to defend humankind were chosen, like Jack the Ripper fighting to save humankind. Maybe there was something mentioned in the manga that better explained it, but and Adam too, from Adam and Eve, which god created him?
Oh shit, bro, relax. We already got out our system, remember?
Yeah, I know. It's just, man, this just feels appropriate. Okay, everything I said about the shows on this list not necessarily being bad shows, throw all that out the window. For those of you who may not know already, I did an extensive deep dive full cover review of this show in my previous anime lounge, and if you watched that, this placement should not surprise you at all. In fact, I know some of you may be surprised that I didn't put this at number 1, but if you follow me on Twitter, you kinda already have a clue as to what my number 1 is. But if there was one show this year that had all the potential in the world, all the qualifications to be an anime of the year contender, and just completely shits the bed, it's this show right here. This show. I'm going to try not to repeat myself too much here because I feel like I've said all I could in my review of the show. 3 episodes. 3 episodes is all you get before this show completely just goes off the rails. The main character Finna starts off as a character with promise, a strong-willed, defiant female lead who's determined to reach her goals. She gets thrown into this situation where she's the missing piece to this mythical puzzle of Eden, the house of ancient treasures and mysteries. She's entrusted with a group of elite samurai to go and search and find Eden. The premise had promise, but this may be one of the worst executed shows I have seen this year. I was fooled by the quality in its animation into thinking I was about to get something good. The characters, tragic. Finna goes from being this strong-willed, determined heroine to a damn near bratty damsel in distress. The elite group of samurai serve no purpose. They don't even do what they were hired to do in the damn show. We see them fight for maybe 1 collective minute through 12 episodes. The plot? By the end of this show, I don't even believe they remember what kind of show they were writing. It starts off grounded in reality with pirates and samurai on a journey for Eden, as mundane as it was, to suddenly becoming a world of magic and sorcery where Finna literally becomes Jesus. And the ending of the show is the most baffling I have ever seen all year. A character named Cody God damn! Who's been in the background for 98% of the show, comes out and reveals that he's God. And after spending all this time finding Eden, Finna becomes Jesus for a little bit, loses her memories, and that's it. Ultimately making the entire series pointless. Everything that happened building up to this final episode is erased, meaning that you wasted your fucking time watching this show. But I just encourage you, watch my breakdown of this show to really understand just how bad this show gets. And this would be number one if not for
Get him.
hey yo, chill. Somebody actually made this show. Take everything that would make a bad isekai, throw that in a blender, then proceed to take a shit in that blender, and voila, you'll almost have something as bad as this damn show right here. It's actually impressive how bad this shit is. There are zero redeeming qualities about this show. At least Finna had some nice animation. This show doesn't even give you that. Everything about this show is just the characters, the plot, the animation, the main character, the setting. You ever just watch a show and think, man, they really just didn't give a fuck, did they? This show felt like someone had an idea for a show and they realized that they only had about 30 seconds worth of a show with that idea. And the rest they just plugged in the most generic of generic isekai tropes and cliches. Seichi, however the hell you say it, bro. Seichi and his classmates get randomly teleported to this world of swords and sorcery, and that's all you get. You can turn the show off after reading that. For the entirety of this season, absolutely nothing happens. The main character has no end game or goal or motivation. The classmates, if you add up together all the time they're shown throughout the show, they have maybe a collective 3 total minutes of screen time. You could completely erase the other classmates from this show and nothing would change. It tries to do what So What I'm a Spider does, but it fails completely. This guy comes in and teleports everyone in the class except for Seiichi, and then teleports him after giving him a special skill. After being teleported, no one else matters except for Seiichi. And the whole idea of a fruit of evolution, and I didn't even actually notice this until after I watched Mother's Basement Hottest Trash Anime of Fall video. Seiichi's classmates picked on him for being fat and short, whatever. And then after eating this fruit that's supposed to make you, well, evolve, guess what happens when he evolves? He gets tall and skinny and handsome, I guess, meaning that how he was in real life, short and chubby, was in fact a lower form of life, meaning that the classmates who were mean to him, calling him a lower form, were right. And the whole concept of having a fruit that makes you evolve when you eat it only serves the purpose to help him fuck a gorilla and a donkey. The main chick on the poster, irrelevant. As soon as she turns from a gorilla to a hentai girl, she immediately loses purpose. She does nothing for the rest of the show. She don't even do shit in the intro. The little harem they try and introduce, fuck them. Fuck all of them.
Up against the wall, where handcuffs on and crazy through on lips.
No character in this show serves any purpose. They get teleported to this world and nothing happens. This show is just so fucking boring. I've seen hentai cartoons with more plot than this shit. Every single character is so annoying. That has to be an accomplishment. It got to the point where I kept watching to see how bad it can get, and it did not disappoint to disappoint. The animation, I'm done. There's just so much. It low-key feels like a slap in the face watching this show. No way somebody really saw this show and said, yeah, that's the one. Fuck this show. I'm getting riled up. I need to hurry up and talk about some of the good news that came out of anime this year.